Hi guys, thanks for joining me for this video. I wanted to put together a demo that will help you with your installation of InsightVM, also known as Nexpose. In this video, I will cover some of the basics that you'll want to be aware of when performing your installation. I will be performing this demo on an Ubuntu Linux server in an AWS cloud environment, but you can rest assured that the same principles can be applied to an on-premise environment or a Windows server. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel as I will be releasing new content regularly. So with that, let's get started. To begin, I wanted to direct your attention to the system requirements located on the Rapid7 website. As you can see, the system requirements for a small environment is 8 gigs. For memory. 8 gigs is the minimum requirement. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people with 4 or less. I've even done it myself on accident, and I'll tell you, it doesn't work well. You're going to need a minimum of 8 gigs. I would recommend 16 gigs as a minimum, but you can get by with 8 if you have a small environment. 100 gigs of storage, we like to recommend a minimum of a half a terabyte. It's showing a terabyte here for small to medium size environments. The next thing is the operating system. You can run this on Ubuntu Linux. 18.16.14 are supported as of this time. Red Hat Linux 6 and 7, CentOS 7, Oracle Linux 7, SUSE Linux Server 12, OpenSUSE Leap 15, and then you have a variety of Windows servers that you can run it on. Everything from 8.1 to 2008, 2012, 2016. If you're planning on running it on Windows 10, I would go with a server environment instead. You're going to have weird problems. I've seen I've seen some servers crash randomly. It will work, but it doesn't seem stable. So I would definitely recommend Windows Server environment, and you're going to want to run it lean. So you're not going to want to have any other applications on your servers, especially if it's a Windows server. You're not going to want to run Metasploit and InsightVM on the same server. You will run into resource conflicts when it comes to the database. Not a supported method. And then for accessing the web console, your basics are supported: Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Microsoft Internet Explorer. So now that we've gone through the system requirements, we know how to properly spec our OS and the hardware we're going to run our security console on. I'd like to jump over to this knowledge base page on the Rapid7 website where you can download the installers for Linux and Windows. On this page, you can also download an OVA. That is a virtual appliance or an image that you can import into your VMware host, and you can be up and running in a matter of no time. These are not intended for enterprise or production use. I've seen people use them. In some cases they work great, in others they don't, and that's basically because there are things that are overlooked. This OVA is the OS is very vanilla, hasn't been patched, hasn't been tuned for performance, no hardening, and the biggest thing to look out for is the volume size on the OVA. Is only, I think it's 70 gigs by default. You're going to want to increase the volume to a size that meets your organizational needs. So minimum half terabyte. My recommendation 1 terabyte if you're in that 16 gigs of RAM range on the system requirements. So that's something that you'll want to look out for. So now I'm going to jump into my Linux server. I'm just using Windows command prompt. You're probably going to use PuTTY unless you're on a Mac. I'm going to elevate, and then I'm going to use the wget command. It's just a little quicker for me. Um, you could download it. I could have downloaded it to my laptop and used WinSCP or FileZilla to transfer it over. So I'm going to pause the video while this downloads, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so looks like our file has completed downloading, and now we can start the installation. So the first thing that I'm going to do is change the file to make it executable. So I'm going to use the chmod command on the file, and then we can list it out. And you'll see that it is executable. Here it is right here. And we can now go ahead and run the installer. So after unpacking, it'll start prompting me for more information. Do I want to continue? Yes. I'm going to select one that is for installing the console, which has the database, which is the brains of the vulnerability management environment. Selecting 2 would install a scan engine, which can be distributed, a remote scan engine. So if you had 2 subnets that were separated by a router or a firewall, you wouldn't want to scan through that firewall. So you could put a remote scan engine on the other side. You open up one port, then you don't have to try to scan through the firewall. So it just helps. It can also distribute the load. So we're just going to select one and continue. I'm going to use the default installation location. I'm going to say yes because we pass and we meet all of the minimum requirements. I'm going to use the default port for the database, and I'm going to put in my personal information. I'm not going to require a password reset. I'm going to ignore this. I'm not using a strong password because this is just a demo. And here we go. I'm going to pause the video right now, and when the installation completes, we can restart. Okay, the installation has completed. And you can see now that the Nexpose console service is running. So it's going to take a little while to start up. We can use the screen command. The screen command is an interactive console that will pretty much display log entries as they happen in real time. You can do that, or we can exit out by using Control AD. Don't do a Control C in there or you'll restart the console service, but we can CD to the opt rapid 7 Nexpose logs directory and tail the nsc.log file, and that's going to basically give you the same thing. So it's one's an interactive console. Here we are just tailing the log and waiting for the console to start up. Now this can take a while. You can see that the Apache service is initializing. Until the Apache service has initialized, you won't be able to connect using your web browser, but as soon as it has, you'll be able to connect and you'll be able to check progress of the startup, the initialization. Okay, switching over to the web browser, you can use the host name with the port 3780 in the URL of your web browser to reach your console. It may give you a message saying, hey, you don't have a cert. You just click on advanced and proceed, and you should get something like this if you haven't installed the cert yet. But we're at 45% loading. The once the content definitions load and everything else has completed in the initialization, we'll be able to log in. So I will pause the video, and we'll get started as soon as we get to a login prompt. So now we're at a login prompt. I can put in the username and password that I created during the installation. Log in. The first thing it's going to do is prompt me for a key. I have this temporary key. What's going to happen is it's going to reach out to the license server. It's going to activate the license. Once it activates the license, it will start to download content and software. So you want to make sure that your console can reach updates.rapid7.com so that it can receive the content and software updates from Rapid7. Content comes every day. Software comes on Wednesday. So to test your connectivity, you can telnet to updates.rapid7.com on port 80. And if you can reach it, it will look something like this. So that's pretty much what you want to see when you telnet to updates.rapid7.com. It's just showing that you were able to make a connection to the host. As long as your console can make that connection, you should get content and software updates regularly. Getting back to the web session, I can see the activation was successful. The settings will now refresh. I can go ahead and log in. So we've just completed the installation of the Rapid7 InsightVM Security Console. Now there's still more work to do, and we'll be covering much of that work in future videos. I hope that this video was helpful, and if so, please like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you very much for joining me in my first ever YouTube video. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one.